Now it's time for Girl Talk
Can I ask you a question about girls?
with Julie Buck and Nicole Genovese
Oh, come on. We talk.
on the Big 550.
Mom! Mommy! Mama! Mama!
What?
Hi.
KTRS.
Welcome to Girl Talk on the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis. It's Saturday afternoon, and we're so glad that you've joined us. We hope you're going to learn something today. I think you will. I'm excited about our guests that we have on the show today. I'm Julie Buck. That's Matt Dorman, MD, the doctor of radio.
Hey.
Nicole Genovese out sick today, but we are thrilled to have Jennifer Williams from St. Louis Closet Co. I always say Co. Is that okay to say?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good. Good to be with you today, and so happy that you joined us. So what inspired you to start St. Louis Closet Company?
Well, it's a great story. It's really a great story. I had gone to St. Louis University and studied communications and graduated. And like a lot of college graduates, at least back then, I had no idea what I was going to do. And I was working 3 jobs because I put myself through college, waiting tables at 3 different area locations. And I decided I'd go back to graduate school, right? Because what do you do when you don't want to go
Right.
back to school?
And you come home and watch the OJ trial in the middle of the day. Right?
Well, I
In
wasn't
those
doing
days.
that. I was working.
No, okay.
I was working at, I was waiting tables at O.B. Clark's during the days and the weekends. And the O'Brien family was fabulous to me. They let me do my homework when it wasn't busy. So that was
Really?
great. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was waiting tables, registered for graduate school. And a friend of mine from high school moved back to St. Louis. And he had previously been working for some custom closet companies on the West Coast. And he was coming to St. Louis to open up a franchise. And we ran into each other, and he's like, Jennifer, you know, you would love this. You would do great. And I was like, oh, okay. So I started working. It was my 4th job. I started working for this closet company. And after literally 2 weeks, I fell in love with what I was doing. I was always a very organized kid.
That's what I was going to say.
Always.
Did you start out like that?
I started out, my mom likes to tell the story, when I was in middle school, I had gone to Target and bought those plastic hangers that were, like, it was new back then, right? This was a new cutting edge thing. And I bought red plastic hangers. And I bought those clear shoe boxes with red lids, and I wallpapered the inside of my closet with Time magazine covers.
Oh, that's
How old are you at this point?
I was middle school. I was probably in 7th grade.
Oh, my gosh.
So I wallpapered the inside of my closet. I wish we still had that. We took it down, but I wish we still had it because Time magazine covers are just like, you know, a trip back in time.
Yeah, they are.
And I put all my clothes on the red hangers, and I had the clear boxes. And it was like, this is
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing, exactly.
For real. Oh, that
So,
is crazy.
Yeah, so it was in 1991, and I was just like, I can do this. I think this is it. And I came from an entrepreneurial family. My grandparents owned their own grocery store, and my mom and dad owned their own business. And I was just like, you know, I can do this. So I dropped out of graduate school. I quit working at the other closet company. And I quit 2 of my 3 weightlifting jobs. I kept 1 just to make sure I had some money coming in. And I started researching the custom closet industry. And within about a month, I had come up with a business plan and a proposal with how much money I was going to need to start.
But how did you know how to do all
Yeah,
of
that's what
this?
I'm wondering, yeah.
Well, it was just a lot of research. And I had gone through in the 2 weeks that I had worked for this
But
closet
this is
company.
before everybody had the internet at their fingertips. I mean,
It was. I called a lot of, my friend who had been opening franchises. He had a lot of information. But I called a lot of companies from out of state. And there was one other closet company in St. Louis at the time. So I did research on that company. And it was basically sort of teaching myself more of business than the actual industry because I hadn't taken a single business class. I was a communications major.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to write a business plan. I went to an all-day conference one day that the SBA put on, how to start a business. And I learned how to write a business plan and make a proposal. So it was the week before Thanksgiving in 1991, and I was ready to go. I had a milk crate with all my files and my research in it of what I wanted to do. And
Covered in Time magazine covers.
I was like ready to go, and I had an old Volkswagen Bug that was not in very good shape. It was all I could afford, and I would have to park it on a hill and pop start it to get it started.
Ooh.
And I set out, and I made appointments at area banks because I was going to get an SBA loan.
Yeah.
And I had nothing. I had nothing. And so I kept going to bank after bank after bank, nothing. And finally, the day before Thanksgiving, I went to Boatman's Bank.
I remember there was one at Clayton and Lindbergh forever, and now it's Bank of America.
This was the one that was on Watson Road, right by Crestwood Mall, Boatman's Bank. And I think they were bored. I think it was the day before Thanksgiving. There wasn't much going on, and the guy's
timing is everything.
The guy's like, "Okay, come in," and I carry my little crate in, and I was like, "Okay, this is what I want to do. This is where the industry is," and the industry was not fully established, but definitely more so on the West Coast. So I had a lot of information, and he's like, "Well, this sounds good. How much money do you need?" And I said, "Well, I think I need $50,000 to start because I needed to buy a van. I needed to buy tools. I needed to buy an initial order of wood and hardware, and I needed to rent a location and buy some machinery." And he's like, "Okay, well, how the SBA loan works is we'll give you $35,000, but you have to come up with $15,000 of your own to get the 50."
Ooh.
And I was like, "Okay, no problem."
Okay, no problem.
I said, "I'll see you the Monday after Thanksgiving." So this is Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So I went out that weekend, and as I don't recommend to other startup entrepreneurs, I opened up every credit card I could possibly open. I opened up a Sears credit card, which is where I bought all my installation tools. I was able to go to Ford and get a loan to buy a Ford van.
Oh, my God.
And then if, some of your older listeners will remember, so Venture.
Yes.
Venture used to be owned by Famous Bar. I think it was Famous Bar owned Venture. So I had already had a Famous Bar credit card. So I was able to
you just
get,
rolled it right into the Venture card.
Venture card, and I was able to buy office supplies and electric typewriter.
Oh, my God.
My husband still makes fun of me because I was like, I got that electric typewriter.
Time out for a second. And how old were you at this point?
25.
Oh, my goodness.
She's still 25. Yes.
25.
She's actually 29 now.
No.
25.
She's 25.
And so I was, I was ready. I had all my stuff. I had my $15,000.
But I still don't get how would you build the closets?
Well, I got a lease at a little place in Kirkwood on a street called Leffingwell, and it had a tiny little office and a area in the back. And we got a loan to buy a saw and a couple small pieces of machinery. But I had made arrangements with a local cabinet shop to help me make the bigger parts because I was not in any position to buy the big machinery that we have now. So I went back to Bowen's Bank on Monday, and I handed him $15,000 worth of receipts. I said, "Okay, I got all this stuff." And he's like, "Jennifer, that's not exactly
what we meant."
What we meant. And I said, "Well, you didn't clarify, and I'm ready to go. I am ready to go." And so he agreed, and he gave me the $35,000. And then it's with that $35,000 that we bought the saw and the other machines. And I started. I started right away. It's really funny because I had a bag phone. Do you remember the bag phones in my
I loved
car?
the bag phone. That was cutting edge back then.
I was the receptionist and the salesperson, and
and it was a giant phone.
It was a giant phone. But when I would leave the office to go on appointments, I would transfer the phone to ring in my car so people wouldn't know. And so every time the phone would ring, I would have to pull over.
Right.
And I
and unzip the bag.
Unzip and be like, "St. Louis Closet Company, can I help you?"
Let me transfer you to my manager.
Right.
And,
St. Louis Closet
and
Company.
that's how I got started. And I had my little sister and all of her friends. I hired them on the weekend, and they would go to neighborhoods in Kirkwood and De Pere and Glendale and Webster.
But what's crazy about this story is to look where you are now. That's amazing.
Well, we we have been so fortunate. First of all, I think we got into an industry at a really good time.
Yeah.
It was sort of cutting edge of organization.
But still, you had to take the initiative to get out there and do
Right.
it. A lot of people dream and think and talk, but
Well, and it's a lot of work. I mean, it's been, we just celebrated our 28th anniversary, and, I still go to work every day. So, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. And you have to, I speak to a lot of colleges about business and classes. You have to love what you're doing. If you're going to be an entrepreneur and start your own business, you have to love it. And especially in the beginning, you have to be willing to work on little to no money. And I was a starving college student. I was waiting tables. I was used to living in sort of a crappy apartment and figuring out ways to get by. So it wasn't that hard for me. But some people start a business and think they're immediately going to,
become millionaires.
become millionaires.
Yeah.
It takes a long, long,
And
long
it's different,
time.
too, right now. Sorry, Matt, but here I go with my millennial comment.
Go ahead.
I mean, it's just with the whole millennial thing going on right now when they do come into the workplace. Not you, Matt, but they think that things are going to happen and they're going to strike it rich right out of the gate. And it's not that's not a possibility, I guess. But in reality, people that are elevated to that level have worked their butts off for years and years and years to get to where they are.
And continue to work their butts off.
Correct.
I don't feel if you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, you can ever stop working your butt off.
Yeah.
You have to keep growing the business, pushing
And
the
you have
business.
to be in there.
You have to be there. You have to be there, every day. Or obviously, I have the flexibility now. I have amazing employees. Some of my employees that work for me today were there with me 28 years ago. And I have incredible employees that I love and I trust. And they make it easy for me to be able to leave early and go to my daughter's lacrosse game or go visit colleges on the West Coast for a few days.
But it wasn't always that way.
It was definitely not always that way. And, it's why you have to love it. Because you will live it, eat it, breathe it, sleep it. It's what you do. And you don't get to work 40 hours a week and go home the rest of the time. You're working 80, 100 hours a week, every week.
And then when you're not there, you're probably worried about something.
Absolutely. Well, even now, after 28 years, when we go on vacation, my husband is also an entrepreneur. We bring work with us. We're doing work every day when we're on vacation. It's funny. My son is a freshman at college, and he said to me...
But he's also an entrepreneur, your son.
He is an entrepreneur. He owns his own lawn care business. He was very successful, made tons of money, but he's going to be moving to Houston this summer, and he wants to get an internship and a job. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to work 9 to 5, Mom. I go, really? 9 to 5? I said, because most businesses are open 8 to 5 or 8 to 6. And,
right.
You're a college freshman. You're probably working nights and weekends. He's like, no, it's 9 to 5. Nobody works more than 9 to 5. And I go, really? I go, we all work more than 9 to 5.
Yeah. Oh.
So there's this perception, I think, that...
Like it's banking hours, basically.
Yeah. And I don't think you get that right away.
So I want to talk about how your husband and how you met him and how he's also an entrepreneur and how your kids have kind of, taken that from the two of you and done their own thing in their own way to become entrepreneurs at such a young age. Very impressive to me. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be back on Girl Talk on the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis.